What you are all looking at today is an unboxing and setup of the NuChair, which is a revolutionary new chair idea that promises to relieve back pain. I'm going to talk about my thoughts and impressions about it in a moment, but I want to explain why I went down this journey even to begin with. You guys know me, I'm a gamer. I sit a lot, and I have an office job too, so I sit a lot there too. The problem is my posture is just no good. I slouch. I know I slouch. And I can tell I slouch because I have lower back pain. And it's because my back is kind of leaning forward. I'm putting a lot of pressure and stretching the bottom part of my lower back because I'm sitting and my shoulders kind of sag in. I've tried other things to alleviate this. I have a standing desk, which I use sometimes. I bought an ergonomic mouse that you hold vertically instead of horizontally. I've gotten a natural keyboard that better fits the contour of my wrist and my arms. But the problem is, because of my bad posture, none of this really matters. All I'm doing is kind of mitigating a problem that is inherent with how I sit. So I realized I needed to do something different. Yes, I have a nice office chair at work. Yes, I have a nice office chair at home. But the reality is, chairs are meant to be leaned back into. And the only way for me, in a more radical approach, to try to alleviate all this was to look for an entirely different solution. Something that forced me to sit upright, something that forced me to sit straight, and to kind of engage in parts of my body that really I don't utilize when I'm lounging. And that's not to say that there aren't times in our lives when we just want to sit back and relax. I get it. We all have our favorite lazy boy or recliner, or for me, it's my nice couch upstairs when I'm gaming. But the reality is that's really not good for you. So I did a little bit of research and I found this company called NuChair. Now they promise to relieve back pain by forcing you to sit in a chair essentially backwards. You know, you think about sitting in a chair now, like I said, your back is pressed up against it. Your butt is pushed away from where the back of the chair and the seat of the chair meet, which causes a natural curve in your back. You have two armrests that you probably lean a lot on your elbows to give yourself some support because you're probably not engaging on your core. You're probably not engaging in some of your leg muscles, and that does cause damage. So looking into this solution, I realized, hey, let me find something that is radically different. And I've tried the exercise balls, I've tried the yoga balls, I've tried like the beanbag type chairs. The problem is I never had a check or a guard to like kind of let me know I was using it properly. So even in like a beanbag chair and exercise ball, yes, you sit in it, you might be lower to the ground. It might kind of cushion more of the back part of your legs a little bit more. But the reality is you're still gonna slouch forward. That's what I like about this chair, is that it actually has a front rest that rests against your stomach and your rib cage, which kind of forces you to kind of be cognizant of where you're leaning. And honestly, when you start sitting up properly, you can kind of feel it, you can feel kind of the stress just kind of bleed away on your sides and on your back. At least I have. So the setup for this chair, pretty simple. You're watching me go through it here and recording it. It took me less than 5 minutes from the time I brought the box in to the time I was actually up and running. It does require assembly, but it's very, very, very simple. There is a instruction video that they give you a QR code to, where you go to a website and it'll walk you through it. Honestly, it's pretty intuitive. I don't think you really need it, but if you're struggling, it's very, very simple. They walk you through the entire setup. All the parts push in with pretty much zero insertion force. There's no tools required. You're gonna spend a lot more time adjusting the chair to fit your specific body type than you are assembling it. So just wanted to walk you through the assembly here, and now we're gonna cut over to me talking about it and kind of walking you through my initial thoughts. So let's jump over and see what future me has to say. Here we go. Okay, the idea behind the NuChair is something different than what you're used to. Normally when you're sitting in a chair, you're sitting with your back against the rest, and the front of you would be exposed. In this case, you're actually sitting with your stomach against this piece here. So you'll be facing this way. We'll sit down together in a minute. But the idea is that you're keeping your posture straight. Normally when you sit in a chair, at least I do, you kind of slouch, right? Your back starts to hurt after a while. You kind of rock and pivot. This is going to force you to have a much more natural seated position in the same way you would have when you are standing, which on philosophy actually makes pretty good sense. So there are some adjustments here. There's an adjustment for the height of the chair to be up or down, higher or lower from the ground. There's also an adjustment based on how much of an angle you want. Every body is different. Depending on how you sit and how the weight distribution feels on your legs, we'll adjust this. And then there's an adjustment here for this to actually raise and lower this whole piece together. And then there's also an adjustment for the angle here. And the idea is that when you are seated, you're not feeling a lot of weight on your legs and your chest is pressed up against here. So let me sit down and I will show you what it looks like once you are seated. Okay, so sitting on it is a little bit different than a normal chair. Like I said, you're actually going to be facing forward. So I'll go ahead and aim at you guys so you can see, but basically mount it like a motorcycle, right? And you want to go ahead and sit and get adjusted, and you'll notice a couple things. First off, look at my back. Look at how nice and straight my back is. I'll move my arm out of the way so you can see. It is smooth, and there's no curvature. I'm not slouched over like if I was sitting in a recliner. I'm sitting upright, and the way that it's designed, I'm putting kind of equal pressure on the front of my legs. I don't feel a significant burn towards my knees any more than I do towards my thighs. So it's kind of an even distribution. And again, if you feel like it's more one way or another, you could adjust the seat. It did take me a while. It took me about half an hour to adjust it. Sitting for a while, go, nope, adjusting it, nope, adjusting it. But this feels like a really good position for me. Everybody is different, so some people may want the angle to be more like this or more like this. It's kind of up to you. My feet, which you can't see, are flat on the floor. I don't have any weight more on my tippy toes or on the backs of my feet. And then leaning forward, you can see my stomach is just pressed up against here. There's a nice soft padding here. I don't feel like I'm doing this. I don't feel like I'm leaning on something, like I'm leaning over a rail. I don't feel like I'm dangling. I'm just sitting upright normally, and I don't feel like I'm forcing myself to be prideful with my chest sticking out. I'm just sitting upright. This is actually the way I would stand. I guess if I wanted to stand up straight, I could even do more like this. But in either way, just look at my back. It stays nice and smooth. And I don't feel any of the back pain that I used to feel on a different chair. Now, I've only been using it for a while. It does say, according to the little help guide that they give you here, it does say that new chairs are very different than other conventional chairs, and some habits or tendencies developed using other chairs may inhibit you from finding your natural posture, but they recommend to stick with it because this is the right way to sit. It does relieve back pain over time, and I think I could see that. I could definitely feel already, just like I said, a half hour kind of dorking around trying to figure out how to sit comfortably. I can already feel that it's a little better. And if I did slouch for whatever reason, perfect posture, right? If I did slouch, my back's still straight. And I think that's the big difference between this and some of the other chairs where the back does kind of give. The adjustments, I'm not gonna lie, the adjustments do take some time. And I could see people getting a little frustrated maybe because it doesn't instantly fit normal. You're gonna adjust things that the height for a while. I thought I had a good height, and I was adjusting the height, and I couldn't get comfortable, and the height was wrong. And then I kind of felt like I was locked in on the height, and then I started working on the base, and then I was like, you know what, I think the height's wrong, and I had to go back and start over again. So you got to kind of stick with it. This isn't one of those things that if you came over and I said, hey, come on over to my house and try my chair, it wouldn't work for you. Because I'm a different body type than you. I have a bigger belly or a smaller belly, or I'm taller or bigger hips, whatever it happens to be. So it's hard to just instantly sit down in this. There's an instant gratification when you try out a Lazy Boy or a Herman Miller chair, where they're all somewhat the same. There are minor adjustments, but I have learned over the years of sitting for a very long time as an office job, and then obviously my gaming chair, I have learned that the more required fine adjustments that you have typically means it's a better experience because it's tailored to you. And I like that about this. I like that there's enough adjustments to for this to be comfortable, for my wife to come in. She'd obviously have to adjust it for her, but for her to be comfortable, I like that. And it works out really well. And then obviously to get up, just like a bicycle, I put my hand on the back here for a little bit of stability, but you just step right over the top of it and you're good to go. You can roll it around wherever you want. Let me stop here and show you a side angle of what it looks like when you're doing office tasks. So I'll be right back. So I spend a lot of my time sitting over here drawing. And usually when I'm drawing, I'm sitting in my other office chair and I'm hunched over. And after a while, I notice that when I draw, my lower back starts to hurt. Probably because I'm leaning forward into my art. Obviously when I'm sitting back to think, it's the same thing. But here with this chair, got my tablet right here. If I was gonna draw, right, I probably have my arm down, locked here. But again, look at my back. Look at my back the entire time. And I don't feel like I'm leaning forward to get into the page. I'm just sitting at a comfortable position. Now I could cheat a little bit because I do have a desk that does rise. So I could bring it a little bit, if I want a little bit smoother, like a nice kind of lock on my arm here. I could do that, and I could obviously come in a little bit closer. I'm having good weight on my arms, and I'm having that good posture on my back. Sitting here, I could totally see drawing like this without any issue. There's still plenty of room, if I need to move around. I'm not hitting into the table at all, which was a concern that I had. I was like, man, if I'm sitting backwards, right, like that's my zone of working. Like I can't necessarily draw if there's a big thing here, but it basically presses into your body in such a way that my gut was never hitting the table before, and I wasn't leaning into the table before. I was sitting up, and because of the way that this chair kind of pushes against, and you could raise this too. So if I wanted it up higher here, if I feel like I'm cheating, right? If I feel like I'm cheating, I could raise this up more if I wanted to. I don't think I need it. I think it's more of an aid. I don't think it's something that's meant to be putting. Like I said, it's not meant to put that significant weight on. It's not meant to be like this when you're drawing, leaning forward. I think it's just kind of a guard, it's kind of like a check, but I could already feel it in my legs and in my feet where everything, just the weight distribution feels really, really good on my hips and on my thighs and on my feet. I know that the chair really talks more about back pain, alleviating back pain, lower back pain to sit more comfortably, but I could honestly see this alleviating pain because it's a natural resting for my legs and for my feet. And then obviously I play a lot of games, so the controller would feel very naturally just holding it right here. I don't hold the controller out in front of me, just resting it on my hips as I do, and there's plenty of room there for that. So yeah, I think this is actually a really, really cool thing. I'm glad I checked that out. I'm glad they contacted me to talk about it. What I'll most likely do, to be fair to you guys, I'm going to go ahead and upload this video now as is. With the whole setup, I'll splice it all together so you got to see the setup. You got to see, initial kind of thought process, and then kind of walking through at least how I plan on using it for drawing and for video gaming. And then I'll check back with you guys in a month or two, and I'll give you guys some thoughts. I'm no stranger to nice chairs. I have a very, very nice, expensive Herman Miller chair that I sit in every single day, and I love it, but I do have back pain. I have had back pain for a long time. Not overwhelming. I'm 42 years old. This is going to happen as you get older, but I'm hopeful that getting something like this, might change the way my posture is. It might force me to have better seated habits. When I'm in here drawing late at night, it might, I might not go to bed tossing and turning and having to adjust my bed like I normally do. I might just feel more comfortable and more supportive. So I'll wrap up this video here. And like I said, I'll check back in a little while, about a month or two, and I'll give you guys some updates. And don't be surprised if you see me doing some streams later on over the next few weeks with trying this out, cycling in and out to really kind of get a feel for it. I think something like this is such a radical change from what you're used to sitting in, that it's going to take time for your body to adjust. Just like the guide said, it's going to take some time for you to kind of unlearn those bad habits, if that makes sense. So that'll wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, we'll see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.